disagree with it, Dave. We were asked not to do that by Pakistan as our friend. We didn't want to sign anything to deal market. But I think Project Freedom is good, but I think we have other ways of doing it also. We may go back to Project Freedom if things don't happen, but it'd be Project Freedom Plus, meaning Project Freedom Plus other.
Pressure mounts in Washington as Iran delays its response and President Trump faces shrinking diplomatic options in the escalating standoff. President Trump warns of renewed military action under Project Freedom Plus, even as key allies hesitate to fully commit. Tensions deepen after several Arab allies reportedly scale back support for U.S. military operations across the Middle East. In a strategic shift, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia are said to have relaxed certain restrictions on American military access. Despite easing access elsewhere, Saudi Arabia firmly denies permitting its airspace to be used for attacks on Iran. Regional uncertainty grows as Gulf nations reconsider their stance following multiple attacks targeting the United Arab Emirates. The conflict intensifies dramatically, with the UAE struck repeatedly and direct clashes erupting between US and Iranian forces. A fragile truce appears to be collapsing after reports of direct military exchanges between Iran and the United States. The White House now waits for Tehran's official reply to a brief but high-stakes proposal from President Trump. Iran rejects American pressure, insisting it will not follow deadlines imposed by Washington. President Trump signals that the next move depends entirely on Iran's response, and time may be running out.
Do you think they're slow-rolling it? Do you think they're intentionally slow-rolling the process?
We'll find out soon enough.
Secretary Rubio says Washington expects Iran to deliver its response by Friday, according to reports from ABC News. The United States announces fresh sanctions targeting Iran's weapons network, signaling a tougher phase of pressure ahead. U.S. Central Command claims it successfully redirected 57 ships amid rising tensions around the Strait of Hormuz blockade. President Trump warns that without a ceasefire, there could be what he calls one big glow coming out of Iran.
If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast. The plan is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It cannot have a nuclear bomb. And it's not going to have. And they're really at the end of the line. Really are at the end of the line.
Global attention now turns to President Trump, as he hints at reviving Project Freedom if diplomatic talks fall apart.
We're negotiating with the Iranians. We have, you probably heard, we took our 3 destroyers and we rammed them through some pretty big stuff today, and we knocked the hell out of them. The destroyers weren't hurt in any way. The people weren't hurt, but they were firing at us, and we were firing back at them. And our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked the hell out of them. They took down a lot of small boats. You know, we call them small boats or fast boats. They're both small and they're fast, with some weaponry on the front. You know, this is what. So this is now replacing the Navy. They had a Navy 159 boats. They have none. Okay, they're all at the bottom of the sea. So they replace that with what they call the fast boat. It's a fast boat, big deal. It's fast. It's got a machine gun in front. They've been knocked down. They knocked out quite a few of them today. Yesterday they knocked down 8. They average 8 a day. This is some group of people we're dealing with. So, you know, it's very simple. Somebody said, what's your plan? I said, the plan is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It cannot have a nuclear bomb, and it's not going to have. And they're really at the end of the line. Really are at the end of the line. It wouldn't look too very good after a while with these characters. We're not going to give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. There's zero chance. And they know that. And they've agreed to that. Let's see if they are willing to sign it. So do you have any questions, Liz? 77. And by the way, you have a very good basketball team. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, after these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. It's they trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast.
Yes, could you give us an update on what is the latest in those talks?
No, it's going. The talks are going very well, but they have to understand, if it doesn't get signed, they're going to have a lot of pain. They're going to have a lot of pain. They want to sign it. I will tell you, they want to sign it a lot more than I do. I think that's what you want to hear, fellas. Right? What you want to hear, a different tone. That's the only thing they understand. They don't understand it. We had 3 world-class destroyers go through the strait today. Any other country, under the circumstances, wouldn't have done shot missiles at it and drones at it, and these stupid boats that came at it. They got blown away in about 2 minutes. Their tanker got blown. You know what we did with the tanker? We didn't want to create an environment, so we shot out the rudder, and the tanker's going around, spinning around in circles. They should not have done that today. We thought they might. We didn't know, but we were prepared. They shot missiles. Every missile was knocked down. Every drone was knocked down. And the people that shot it are no longer with us.
President Donald Trump has officially responded to the one-page offer.
Well, it's more than a one-page offer. It's an offer that's basically said they will not have nuclear weapons. They're going to hand us the nuclear dust and many other things that we want.
Have they heard that so far, Mr.
Yeah,
President?
they've agreed. But when they agree, it doesn't mean much, because the next day they forgot they agreed. And, you know, we're dealing with different sets of leaders. When you talk about regime change, you know, they keep talking about regime change. Well, we got rid of the first regime, we got rid of the second regime, we got rid of most of the third regime, and then they say, oh, is that regime change? I think it's the ultimate regime change.
How close would you say that you are to a deal right now with Iran?
Could happen any day. Could, and it might not happen, but it could happen any day. I believe they want the deal more than I do. Does anybody think Iran should have a nuclear weapon so they can blow you up? No.
Have you spoken to Secretary Rubio since his meeting with Pope Leo, and did you ask him to pass on a message to
I
him?
spoke to him. I just said, tell the Pope, very nicely, very respectfully, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So when he comes to their defense, also tell the Pope that Iran killed 42,000 innocent protesters who didn't have guns, who didn't have weapons. Tell that to the Pope.
What happens now?
A very safe city now. We didn't have a safe city when I first took second term.
Why was that suspended? Administration officials talking about
Because
this in the next phase of the war.
really wonderful leadership at place, as you know, Pakistan has been fantastic, and their leaders have been fantastic. The Field Marshal and the Prime Minister, and they asked us not to do it. We'll go back to it if we have to. They asked us not to do it during the negotiation.
Are you considering maybe going back to that now that gas prices are with all
It could, well, no, gas prices have come down today. Have you looked? We were asked not to do that by Pakistan as our president, didn't want the Prime Minister to Field Marshal. But I think Project Freedom is good, but I think we have other ways of doing it also. We may go back to Project Freedom if things don't happen, but it'd be Project Freedom Plus, meaning Project Freedom Plus other